In a single breathtaking moment of Demon Slayer, I encountered a scene so profoundly unique that it deepened my understanding of storytelling. This wasn't a narrative twist or a plot point or a climax. It was a revelation, a stark contrast to anything I've ever witnessed in Western cinema or writing.
これが彼の心の中。なんという美しさ。どこまでも広い。そして、温かい。
Let me explain. Tanjiro, the main character from Demon Slayer, is a rich tapestry of kindness, determination, and unwavering moral integrity. He is defined by his deep compassion and empathy. He's optimistic and pure-hearted. He cares deeply for those around him. He's born into a humble family, and before the start of the story, he was the breadwinner for his 5 siblings and his mother. After the tragic event where his family is slaughtered and his younger sister Netsuko is turned into a demon, despite the immense grief and shock, Tanjiro's unwavering resolve and kind-hearted nature remain intact. So much so that one of his motivations is to trust his sister despite her being a demon, and to strive to turn her back to human. He's unique in this universe for showing such profound empathy towards a demon. These qualities of his not only define him, but are also the key to resolve the conflict and opposition he faces during his journey. Tanjiro is basically flawless.
そんなクソ野郎ほっとけ！ダメだ！知らせない！
We rarely find in Western storytelling such a perfect main character. Western protagonists are deeply flawed and are often dynamic. They undergo significant personal growth or change throughout the story. Their development is a central element of the narrative. Western narrative often relies on the concept of identification. When thinking about the protagonists, screenwriters and authors often focus on making characters relatable to the audience, achieved by giving them flaws, desires, and fears that are universally human, encouraging the audience to see themselves in the character's place. The idea is that by identifying with the character, the audience is more emotionally invested in the story. When the character faces challenges or grows, the audience feels a part of that journey on a personal level. It delves deeply into the character's psyche, making their inner lives and personal struggles a central focus of the narrative. These flaws inhibit the main character's progress. They are forced to grow to overcome these internal obstacles, and by the end of the movie, the protagonist often changes, especially internally. Their personality and point of view of the world grows and is often better than the way it started. This happens less in Eastern narrative, and in this specific case, anime stories. This is a broad generalization, and there are many exceptions in both traditions, but it becomes especially true when analyzing the shonen editorial category, which targets adolescents and young adults. Goku from Dragon Ball, Luffy from One Piece, Naruto from Naruto, and many others. All of them share the same characteristic. No flaw inhibits their progress.
夢の中だったとしても自決するということ。自分で自分を殺すということは相当な胆力がいる。
The same goes for many films. For example, Princess Mononoke, by far one of my favorite flicks of all time. Everything the main character Ashitaka does, he does out of selfless benevolence. Whenever conflict arises, it is due to the flaws of secondary characters, not his own. He's never proud or vain and cannot be insulted. He's never spiteful. He's never brutal. Whenever he hurts anyone, it's either in desperate defense of someone who's helpless or in self-defense after having tried to warn the attacker. He's never wrathful, so his anger never causes him to make mistakes. He's never selfish or greedy and cannot be tempted against his better knowing. He's never overconfident. He's no coward and will never let anyone be hurt due to his own inaction. If there are exceptions to any of these, they are minor, with no significant impact on the plot or in Ashitaka's relation to the other characters. And his curse isn't really a curse. It does nothing to increase Ashitaka's struggle, beyond starting the plot by forcing him on a journey. Quite the contrary. The curse seems at times more like a blessing. It gives, in addition to his default near godlike strength, endurance, and martial prowess, supernatural strength whenever he needs it, without any sense of cost or sacrifice. You soon forget it's even there.
みんな見ろ！俺が身の内に救う憎しみと恨みの姿だ！肉を腐らせ、死を呼び寄せる呪いだ！
Just like Tanjiro, Ashitaka is flawless. So what is the purpose of these characters? While Western storytelling protagonists find their roots in identification, I dare to say that Eastern storytelling relies on the concept of transcendentalism. Creating main characters relying on this concept allows authors to create a process where individuals are inspired by characters and stories to transcend their current state, aspiring to higher levels of moral, intellectual, or spiritual existence, emphasizing the pursuit of transcending one's limitations or circumstances inspired by narrative models.
蘇ってもここはもう獅子神の森じゃない。獅子神様は死んでしまった。
獅子神は死にはしないよ。命そのものだから。生と死と二つとも持っているもの。私に生きろと言ってくれた。
This term is relevant in exploring the ethical and cultural dimensions of storytelling. It reflects the potential of narratives to inspire individuals and societies to transcend beyond the mundane or conventional, aiming for higher ideals and understanding. Princess Mononoke works as a story for the purpose of driving author Miyazaki's ecological dialectic, and also for the edification of the viewer. The same way Tanjiro is a beacon of hope and kindness in a world overrun by darkness and despair, and his journey works as a reminder of the power of empathy, the strength of human spirit, and the enduring light of goodness even in the darkest of times.
すぐに動けそうにない。他の人を助けてくれ。
Let's compare these main characters with Harry Potter, a protagonist from the Western paradigm that also targets teenagers and young adults. Harry is the chosen one, destined to defeat Voldemort and save Hogwarts and the wizard world from evil. It could be potentially difficult to identify with such a main character, as most of us are not destined for such greatness. But Harry is also reckless, stubborn, short-tempered, has a hero complex, relies too heavily on intuition over logic, has difficulties opening up, and has a jealous and competitive nature. These are all flaws that he must overcome by the end of the 7 books or movies to fulfill his destiny and make him at the same time a relatable and human character. This allows readers to empathize with him and understand his struggles. Despite his flaws, or perhaps because of them, Harry is a beloved and heroic figure, embodying the idea that one can be imperfect and still do great things. The underlying dramatic relation between the audience and Harry can be summarized with the unconscious feeling of, look at this boy called Harry Potter, he's just like me. The underlying dramatic relation between the audience and characters such as Tanjiro and Ashitaka can instead be summarized with the unconscious feeling of, look at him, I should be like him.
必ず戻る。禰豆子！
The authors do not wish for you to identify with them. They want you to aspire to be like them, and just like them, bring change about in others and the world. Transcendentalism is a term that captures the complex and aspirational engagement of audiences with storytelling. It reflects the journey of transcending personal limitations or societal norms, inspired by the virtues and achievements of narrative characters.
アシタカは好きだ。でも人間を許すことはできない。
それでもいい。サンは森で、私はタタラ場で暮らそう。
In conclusion, while Western narratives often focus on flawed characters overcoming personal obstacles to achieve growth, Eastern narratives, particularly in the realm of anime and manga, tend to present characters who embody ideals to aspire to. Characters like Tanjiro and Ashitaka aren't just protagonists, they are paragons of virtues that audiences are meant to admire and emulate. They represent the best of what humanity can offer, serving as a guiding light in a world that can often be dark and challenging. This difference in storytelling isn't just about cultural preferences. It's about the messages these stories are trying to convey and the impact they aim to have on their audiences. Western stories tell us that it's okay to be flawed, that we can overcome our shortcomings and still achieve greatness. Eastern stories, on the other hand, remind us of the heights of character and spirit we can aspire to, encouraging us to strive for a greater sense of morality and purpose.